In this lesson, we'll have a chance to show you how to handle the most common professional interview situation, the day interior interview.
For most of the interviews you'll record using your DSLR, they'll be indoors, likely in someone's office. Now, recording indoors is nice because it's usually better audio than being outside, but it does come with challenges of figuring out how to make a space more interesting.
As we'll show in this lesson, the key to shooting good day interior interviews with a DSLR camera is to remember that the most important thing is the light on the subject's face and what you're going to see directly over their shoulder. If you keep this in mind, you can find a way, even in a small and cramped space, to get a good-looking interview. In the day interior DSLR interview, as in all interviews, you have to use the space you have well. Choose your camera position, thinking about light on your subject and what you're going to see over the subject's shoulder. And don't be afraid to move around furniture and wall art. In a small office, this is often the difference between a good-looking and a bad-looking interview. Frame with care, as always. Remember the 1/3 rule for framing your subject in the frame. And set your eye line. They should be looking slightly off camera, not into the lens. Hair, makeup, and wardrobe, as always, are crucial. If you overlook these things, they really can ruin an otherwise perfect interview. With the DSLR day interior interview, what's different is that you're adding light, generally a key light that fills the subject's face and eyes.
If you can, sometimes it's useful to turn down the ambient light in the scene. Your key light will be able to mimic some of that ambient light and kind of give a stronger bit of it. But oftentimes when you turn down the ambient light, it can kind of give more focus to your interview subject. And as I said, if there is a big window or big source of light that you can use as your key light, usually try and do that first so you don't have to add in the light afterwards. Check your audio. This isn't a new thing. As always, it's just a reminder. Check your audio before the interview starts. You're going to be using your lavalier mic, and you're going to want to test that audio. Have your interview subject say a few things before the interview starts so that you make sure from the beginning you're getting very good audio.
And finally, as always in all interviews, engage your subject. Remember, you're going for those magic moments when someone really opens up and tells you the crucial things you need to know. And ask yourself, is the subject talking about the things you hope they would to narrate their story? And if not, consider going back and asking several key questions again. Remember, people have taken the time to give you an interview and they hope to be in the film. So it's part of your responsibility to make sure that the interview has the things that you'll need for the final edit. Well, we hope this intro to some of the concepts about shooting indoors is helpful. Now let's look at how Brian handles this specific situation.
Now we're going to set up one of the classic documentary situations, the interior interview. And in this case, an interior interview in a pretty small space. This is a situation you encounter all the time. We have no natural daylight to work with, so we're going to set up some light. I'm going to take a look and see what's possible. I'm going to grab my equipment. Let's see what we can do.
Filming an interview in a location like this is one of the classic challenges that filmmakers face. Very often, when you set up an interview with someone important, they'll want to do it in their office. It's important to remember that with the DSLR camera zoomed in, we'll only see a small area behind our subject's head. So in this case, Brian will start off by looking around the room to assess and choose a spot to set up his shot. Brian will do this initially with his camera in his hand, before putting it on the tripod. And sometimes you even have to ask your subjects for help in moving around furniture to set up your scene. Once Brian has the camera and the subject's chair in place, and they are some of the key things, he can make some final adjustments on the background. In this case, he's placing a plant and a bit of a picture just in the back of the frame, behind his subject's head in the interview shot. And then obviously, Brian will want to make sure he's adjusted his focus and final framing. At this point, Brian is ready to set up his lights. As with the smartphone interview, having a light in the scene, even with these existing office lights, adds a lot. It puts light on the subject's face and makes their eyes really shine. And there he is. Brian's ready to go.
Is this your first time being interviewed?
No. I've done a few of these.
At this point, Brian adds his lavalier microphone and puts it in a spot where it's close to his subject's mouth but not actually in the shot. Brian then makes sure that the audio levels he set up on the camera are correct so he can get good, clean audio for editing later on.
Testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3.
And with this, Brian is ready to record a professional-looking interview with nice, clean audio that he can later edit over images from the film showing the things his subject is talking about.
The less demand there is for these sorts of things, if we all do our part, just like one meal a day where we're not consuming meat, makes a huge impact on the planet.